Welcome back, everybody. Gonna recruit Vice now. Super sweet. This class sucks though. Ranger class blows. I'm gonna have to change that at some point. It seems like a pretty decent class. However, there's a class that's just almost identical to it right out the gate that is more interesting.
Canopus. And Denim and Vice besides. I'm glad to see you well.
This is near identical cutscene.
Sir Mirden. Sir Gildas?
How is he?
The Starseer remains lost in the mists of sleep, but he draws breath and is whole of body.
That is well then. And Lancelot, has he not returned?
I've not seen him since the night of the Buckram attack. They held us at a camp outside Rhyme, but we managed to escape. What's next for you?
We of course
Assault
know
on
where
Vidocq, I suppose.
Lancelot is.
That's the plan. But first, we must do something about the Buckram armies at Rhyme. If our casualties there are too great, we'll never take Vidocq.
What we need is some way of taking Rhyme unawares. What we have is a frontal assault across the Golborza plain. Hardly an ideal stratagem.
There is one way. There are hidden passes through the Burnham Massif, ways known only to the goatherds and peasants who make the mountains their home. We can use these trails to approach Rhyme from the west. It's the last thing they'll expect. The city will fall into confusion.
As it happens, we have a score of our own to settle. Room in your party for 2 more? Let's be about it then.
It's weird that Gildas gets abducted in the neutral playthrough, but he's available at this exact moment regardless. I remember this cutscene. However, we're not here to bail out
Our work
Daria.
is done, Oz. We withdraw.
What about the Abuna?
They led him away just now, quiet as a church mouse.
Yeah, I have that effect on people, don't I?
So it would seem. Come, we've tarried long enough.
We must remove any trace we were here. You, put the torch to this place. While you're at it, make certain we left no survivors.
Keep walking. Their leader, my lord.
Doesn't know when to die, does she?
Go on. Kill me.
You're in no position to be making requests. She's yours. Enjoy the spoils of war.
We'll put her to good use, won't we, boys?
Go on and try.
Yay, implied R. And by yay, I mean boo. But I don't think Syria is not, none of the sisters other than, well, I guess other than, you know, the 2 mages, Olivia and, whatever the other one's name is, are recruitable in this
We
playthrough.
can't afford to lose a single man to these fiends. Watch yourselves.
The other 2 are, you don't run across the one, and the other one, we just saw what happened to her, so. Sad, I know. But they give you Saria. I mean, sorry, they give you Ravenous instead. They say, Ravenous, she's as good as the other two, right? And I'm all like, meh. I like to save everybody. I know that's not possible, but yeah, that's my personality. Help everybody. Knowing, of course, there's only so many hours in the day, so much time to be had to help people, and that inevitably you're spending time here, you're not spending time over there. Things naturally occur while you're absent. So, you know, I get to recruit Japan, I get to recruit Ravenous, but I miss out on the other two sisters. You also get access to Ozma and the Dragon Caller girl at the end of the game, which we'll do all those recruitments here eventually, but for right now we gotta keep progressing the storyline a little bit more. There's a lot more to the storyline regarding Ozma if you play Law, because sort of in the same way where we're not there to, you know, save Saria, it causes a different chance encounter with a different character that ends up swaying her to your side. Whereas that chance encounter doesn't occur in the other playthroughs, so she's you know, the catalyst ends up not occurring. I do enjoy me some Zapan though. I had to switch him over to hammers because I've already got, well, I mean, I could leave him on axes if I wanted to, but I've already got axe users, and I've got that demon hammer that I sacrificed my other berserker for. So, you know, I feel that it's kind of a waste to let that sit in my inventory. And I've got a perfectly good character that can use hammers. He just needs to be trained up a little bit. Which won't take very long, I don't think. I mean, I could make it real quick. Let me tell you what. I could do, you know, go into the and go in the woods off camera. A couple rounds in there would be enough to get him up to, you know, close to 40. Maybe not exactly to 40, but, you know, definitely enough battles there that I can definitely level him up quickly. There are other things I gotta sort of think about, and they're not really important for this playthrough per se, but when I go down into the undead palace, figure out if I want to leave. I've got 4 characters. I've got more than 4 characters, but I've got all 3 of my dragoons, the 3 Valkyries are all running they're all running spears. So 6 seems like a lot of spear users. Obviously I wouldn't bring 6 spear users all in at the same time, so it'd be a little bit determinant, you know, depending on what type of enemies I was going up against. as to who I would bring in. But, just sort of thinking out loud. Perhaps I should make one of those Dragoon users, like a two-handed sword user. I don't know. I'll figure it out. As I probably mentioned in the previous episode, I've been kind of not doing a very good job balancing out the weapons that I use. So I don't have a mainstay person who uses, say, fists, and a lot of cudgel users, but that's because the cudgel is good for bumping up magic. So I don't really count that. Daggers, fists, hammers. I only have one hammer user right now. No, none of the blow, good darts, and crossbows. Thought about trying to dedicate a character to that, but every time I try to start out a character in crossbows, I'm always like, man, they'd be way better with a fucking bow and arrow. Or conversely, if you're trying to dual-hand it, where you have like a knife in one hand, or like a one-handed weapon in one hand and a crossbow in the other. Almost all the crossbows are two-handed. But that's a problem for post-game, Chris. Not really going to be a problem getting us through the rest of this playthrough. And my mom called me middle of the day today, say, hey, can you come over? The yard people, they're doing cutting our bushes, mulching, edging, cutting bushes, edging, mulching, probably something else I'm forgetting in there. Obviously Holloway. Are coming over today, and your father and I are both out right now. Could you come over and make sure that everything I want done gets done? I said, fine, I can do that. So, kind of what I did. It wasn't really much. It was just me going over with my laptop, sitting there, making sure that, the will got done. The will of the parents, that is. And I don't know. Everything seemed to go well, so wasn't anything really I had to do. I just was there, I guess, to monitor, to make sure that the stuff did get done. But I very much feel like I could have probably not gone and they would have done it anyways. Ugh. So any level that has a lot of undead or zombie units, I mean zombie skeletons, these little ghost things, wisp, whatever spirits, whatever you call them, you gotta make sure you have enough people to excise them or banish them. You can also bring a holy water, which works. Not really any problem with bringing holy water. You can just equip 1 to everybody or 2 to everybody, so you have more than enough to go around in case, you know, Ravenous is standing closer than, say, Canifus, or whoever. Obviously, depending on what situation you're in, you probably won't have access to a Lich or a Necromancer. So in that case, you're going to want to rely on your healers, which I believe only Kashua and the healer Abunas / clerics have access to exorcism. So, you know, you're very much limited to a singular class to get rid of your zombie units unless you want to use holy water, which, like I said, is an equally valid option. It just requires you get a little closer than, say, using a cleric. The downside to the holy water is obviously you spend money to buy that, and you have to equip it to everybody because you're not really sure who's going to be, unless you direct a particular unit in that direction to take on the skeleton, etc. You're limited to, you know, who's there, who has it, so you have to equip to everybody with the holy water. It'd be a little expensive. It's not terribly expensive, but it can be a little expensive. Particularly early on in the game when you don't really have a ton of money and you're trying to, you know, save up your money for weapons, armor upgrades, and, yeah, etc.
Onward to Rhyme!
Yo! So sort of like all the other playthroughs, we insist on taking the back door into Rhyme to catch them off guard. I don't know if you want to call that lazy writing or what, but it works in all situations, so. Ooh.
This defies all reason.
Our enemy fields a host equal to our own, perhaps greater.
How have they mustered such a force in such short order?
Perhaps Hierophant Balbatos had even more enemies than we suspected. It is true that on word of his death, men deserted his armies like rats from a foundering ship. What's more, the New Wallister Alliance enjoys the support of the slaves and commons. It would seem this young Denham is as much at home before a crowd as he is at the head of an army.
Right.
You speak as though it was not your doing that brought us to this unhappy pass. We ought to have marched on Almorica as soon as we took Rhyme. Perhaps it's not too late. Summon my war council. Inform them I plan to lay siege to Almorica.
At once, my lord.
I beg you reconsider, Lord Regent. Surely the Bakram armies alone are not sufficient to the task.
What? The Dark Knights would abandon us now? You wouldn't dare.
You have an arrangement with the High Champion, an arrangement with certain obligations.
Obligations, you say? As I recall, you are obliged to grant me whatever aid I require to wrest control of these isles. Aid I have yet to receive. Yet here I sit, waiting, while you lecture me about my obligations.
Stay your anger, Lord Regent. I meant only to suggest you avoid rousing them before there is need. Have patience. You'll see.
And how will you reward my patience, I half fear you mean to betray us for a new suitor.
Do you not trust us, Lord Regent? That would be most unfortunate.
I spoke without thinking. But understand, my patience is not without limit.
Not to worry, Lord Regent. We'll take care of everything, I assure you.
Lies.
Very well. We wait.
As you say, my lord.